Welcome to the Business of Therapy podcast, where we're ditching the blank slate mentality and giving therapists full permission to show up authentically online and chase their dream six-figure private practice. I'm your host, Kelly McKenna, licensed therapist, business coach, and content creator. I have made it my personal mission to help other therapists make a boatload of money and do it while working with clients they love and without sacrificing their work-life balance. I've been through the very same journey that you're on now. After ditching burnout, starting my own private practice, earning $250,000 my very first year, and scaling way beyond that, I'm here to give you all the behind the scenes. And in this podcast, I'm holding nothing back. You'll hear all the specific strategies, wins, failures, and lessons learned to help you build your very own six-figure private practice and see that the business of therapy can truly be a lucrative one. Let's do this! When I started working at a group practice, I got paid $45 a session. I knew it made more sense financially for me to go out on my own, but I had no idea how to get credentialed with insurance or how I'd get any clients. I decided to join Alma, and within 45 days, I was credentialed with major insurance payers. With Alma's enhanced reimbursement rates, I nearly tripled what I was making at the group practice instantaneously. With Alma, I was earning $125 per session as a licensed clinical social worker through insurance. Visit helloalma.com/Kelly to learn more. That's helloalma.com/Kelly to get started. Hello, my friends. I'm really excited for today's episode. I feel like it is a little bit different than what I normally talk about here on the podcast, but this question comes up so much in my DMs, in emails, and so I wanted to address it. I'm curious if you've ever caught yourself thinking, maybe I just need to create a coaching program or a course because I can't make good enough money as a therapist. If you have ever thought that, I really want to challenge that idea today because your income problem likely has nothing to do with the fact that you are a therapist, right? I do not think that therapists need to become coaches to make a great living. I think that usually therapists have a marketing problem, they have a positioning problem, and they have a pricing problem. And so that is really what I want to focus on and to help you fix. I oftentimes find that this question comes up in my monthly income report reels as well. Therapists will say, oh, you just make this kind of money because you're a coach or because you sell courses. It's impossible to do this as a therapist. And there is some truth to that, right? It would probably be very difficult to earn seven figures doing one-on-one coaching or doing one-on-one therapy sessions, right? You'd have to see a ton of clients. But you can definitely earn a lot of money with a very high profit margins doing one-on-one therapy, right? I charged $250 per session when I started my private practice and earned $250,000 that first year. $200,000 of that was from one-on-one therapy clients. And I took a 6-week vacation for my wedding and honeymoon, right? It is very, very, very possible to have a great work-life balance and earn a ton of money doing one-on-one therapy. Yes, if you want to scale to seven figures, maybe you do need to add coaching or courses and diversify your offers. But for most therapists wanting to make a good six figures, you can do this in private practice. And I really don't think that you should consider adding in coaching or another offer until you have done this in private practice, because coaching is not the dream that it is sometimes sold to be, which I'm going to explain further in just a second. So I want to start off by talking about the reality that most therapists face. And I think that this might resonate if you are somebody who is considering adding coaching. Maybe you are getting paid too little per session, right? Whether that is insurance reimbursements being too low, you doing too many sliding scale fee spots, you charging $100, $150 per session. If your rates are not high, you are going to have an income cap, right? And that is going to make things challenging. So we do need to increase the rates. Burnout is really real, right? Oftentimes because therapists are undercharging, they are left seeing way too many clients, and that really leads to burnout. I think a lot of our algorithms are also selling us this passive income lie of you can make $1 zillion in 2 minutes if you just add in coaching. That's the way to scale. And I just don't see that to be true. If you want to listen to my last podcast episode where I did the Reels launch debrief, I think that you will see that it is actually quite a lot of work to scale with digital products or memberships or courses or coaching, right? There's a lot of marketing that goes into it. And I think that oftentimes therapists decide that they're going to implement coaching because it is the path to financial freedom, but they don't realize that it's actually a path that requires a lot of marketing. And that's not something that I find most therapists who are going into this love, and they're just looking for like an easier path to make more money. And I actually think that unless you're somebody who loves marketing, coaching is actually much harder to make money in, because as a therapist, you are a licensed professional, right? Like you have a lot of authority. You have this degree that you worked for, you have this licensure that you worked for that builds a lot of trust with your audience and with, potential clients. And so by calling yourself a coach all of a sudden, we're diluting some of that, right? And sometimes I think therapists do it because they want to skirt around like licensing regulations and see people in more states, but it doesn't solve the problem, right? If you cannot market to people in your own state and fill your caseload, you're not going to market to people in another state to fill your caseload, right? So I just think that that is super important to name. The real problem is that you don't know how to market yourself, right? And you don't know how to position yourself. And if you can learn to do that, you can earn very good money as a therapist, right? And by the way, that's a skill you're going to need to fill your caseload as a coach as well, right? You're going to need to learn how to get visible. You're going to need to learn how to market yourself on Instagram. You're going to need to learn how to speak to your ideal clients and attract them. You're going to need to learn how to communicate the value that you provide. You're going to need to learn how to showcase the problem that you solve, right? And so if your solution to that is just to create a coaching offer, that's just going to give you another thing to market, right? And that's not going to improve your marketing. It's just going to give you something else to sell. And oftentimes I see that coaching actually becomes a distraction for therapists, right? You're stuck with starting a whole second business, starting a second website, starting an extra Instagram page, learning an entirely new business model, creating new messaging, building a second audience, developing a curriculum, marketing your therapy practice and your coaching practice. Maybe you're even being taught to start a Facebook group, cold pitch people, do Facebook lives, right? Like it is so much work to build a coaching business, right? And instead of focusing your energy on increasing your fee and building your practice, you are wasting a lot of time building a whole second business. The fastest way to make more money as a therapist is not to expand your business and to add coaching. It is to increase your rates and to make your current business more valuable, right? To make your current business more profitable. And I would really just encourage you to sit with that and to ask yourself, like, what feels so appealing about coaching? And could we accomplish some of that by just raising your fees and getting clients for your therapy practice instead? Because that is going to be the easiest and the fastest way to increase your revenue. It is going to protect your therapy license, and it's just going to set you up for success. Like I don't see why therapists need to become a coach to charge a higher fee, right? Like I think that being a therapist demands a higher fee, in my opinion.
Today's episode is sponsored by Jane, an electronic health management software that I use in my own private practice. The Jane team knows that when your workday is spent seeing therapy clients, there is no time left for admin tasks like scheduling. With Jane's user-friendly secure client portal, clients are able to schedule their own appointments and intro calls, automatically fill out intake forms and assessments, and enable email or text reminders for their upcoming sessions. To see how Jane can take admin work off your to-do list, head to the show notes to book a personalized demo. And use the code Kelly2month at the time of sign up for a 2-month grace period.
Okay, so what the solution I think really is to get better at marketing, right? And you, again, are going to need to do this if you are pursuing coaching either way. So I want you to think about how you can show up on Instagram and market yourself better, right? Where can you get more specific with your ideal client and who you are serving? Because in order for therapy clients to decide they're going to pay you big bucks, you are going to need to pick a specialty. You're going to need to pick a niche and get really good at messaging to that one thing. Same thing applies for coaching, right? You are going to need to have like Who is the ideal client that I'm speaking to? What problem am I helping them solve? How can I demonstrate my expertise? How can I show them that I get them? How can I build that know, like, and trust factor before we start working together? And how can I proactively market myself instead of just waiting for referrals to come in and work on filling my caseload with private pay clients, right? And when you're able to do that, when you are able to show up and market yourself, you can have all of that income as a therapist, right? If your caseload is full and your rates are too low, you are probably going to need to approach marketing differently in order to get clients who will pay you $200, $250, $275, $300 per session, right? You can charge those numbers as therapists. I have worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of therapists who have been able to build a private pay practice in that way. But it does require you to learn to show up and market yourself on Instagram as an expert. And when you do that, when you can develop the confidence, when you can increase your rates, when you can position yourself and communicate that value and charge a premium, that is going to be how you make a lot of money as a therapist without needing to add in coaching. Now, not like 100% against coaching. I obviously have a coaching business. And so I think it does make sense sometimes. So I want to talk about when I think that is. In general, I'm really not a fan of like mental health coaching. I think that that is a way to cheapen your services as a therapist. And I think that it is a way to put your license at risk. I see no reason why you should be doing anxiety coaching if you're a therapist. I think that you can do anxiety therapy with people in your state at a higher rate and solve the same exact problem, right? Now, I do think sometimes coaching makes sense when it's something you genuinely want to do that is outside of like your scope of practice as a therapist, right? So maybe you do couples therapy as a therapist and you want to do dating coaching as a coach, right? Dating is not something in the DSM. It's not something people need a therapist for. That might be something that you're passionate about. Sure, I could see building out a second offer for that. Once your caseload is full and you are earning good money as a therapist, right? Again, if you were just adding coaching in before that, I think you're distracting yourself and you're going to end up with like not giving either thing enough attention to really be successful. Maybe you are passionate about helping other therapists, right? That's certainly why I decided to do coaching was, me teaching therapists about business and marketing is very different than therapy, right? It wouldn't be appropriate for me to be teaching my therapy clients how to do this. And so I set up the coaching business. Maybe you're somebody who really likes teaching and educating. And so the idea behind having, a hybrid program or a course or something feels really exciting to you to be able to impart knowledge in that way. If that's something you're passionate about, yes, go for it after you've filled your therapy caseload. But I think that it's just helpful to say, like, you should be starting a coaching business because it is something that you are feeling called to do and it's something you are desiring to do. And like in terms of like the actual work, not just because you think that it is going to be the easiest way to make more money. The easiest way to make more money is to get better at marketing and to increase your rates as a therapist, right? If you cannot, quote unquote, sell therapy, a licensed commodity, a healthcare service, something that is super popular in the mainstream right now, you are not going to be able to sell coaching either, right? Like you need marketing and sales skills in order to have a successful coaching business as well. So I would really, really focus on first things first, fill your caseload with the amount of ideal clients that feel good to you at a high premium rate before thinking about adding in coaching. And my takeaway for you is before you decide to open a second business, to start another offer, I want you to ask yourself, if I became amazing at attracting private pay therapy clients through Instagram and confidently charged what my expertise is worth, would I still want to create a coaching business? If the answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is no, I think that you are much better off spending your time, energy, and attention diving into Instagram marketing for therapists and building the private practice of your dreams, because that is your answer as a therapist. That is the easiest way for you to make money, contrary to what you might see online. And it is going to also be where you have the greatest impact as well. All right. Thank you, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I would love to hear your thoughts, questions, concerns, feedback on it. I know this is a little bit of a different style, but it's something I've been asked about enough times that I figured it was worth talking about and really trying to like bust this myth that therapists need to become coaches to make a ton of money because I believe in you. I promise you can make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year just doing one-on-one therapy and take home a lot more of it than if you were building out an entire second business and having to invest in team and all of that good stuff. All right. Thank you, my friends. I will see you next week.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. My goal with this podcast is to help as many therapists as possible. So if you found this episode helpful, would you please do me a huge favor and leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this? As a thank you, every month I'm gifting one lucky reviewer a free month of done-for-you Reels ideas inside of my Reels membership. I'll see you here next Wednesday and talk to you soon. Did you know I have a totally free 1-hour training that thousands of therapists just like you have attended, where I'll teach you how to market and grow your private practice on Instagram? Sign up at the link in the show notes. I'm sharing how I earned $250,000 my first year in private practice with private pay clients from Instagram, and how you can do it too. Learning to showcase your expertise and market your private practice on social media will help you increase your income, reduce your caseload, and help thousands of people with their mental health online. Head to the show notes and register now.